I got it for 3 reasons. Right time, right place, and right
Is
God.
that fake chest hair?
Yes, it is fake chest hair. I did it so you could see the Star of David a little better.
That's really funny.
This is where the troops go in the back right there.
So, I don't like to dive into politics too much on the show. I mean, you guys know who I am. I believe in not political correctness, DEI. We're very neutral here at 4 Years a Slave. And by we, I mean myself, because I run this thing. But Pete Hegseth has gotten a lot of heat for going on the campaign trail. And people are like, Peter, you are the Secretary of Defense. Why are you campaigning for people? Where do you get your inspiration? And out of nowhere, he picks up, and I'm thinking to myself, how can I relate to a guy who's the Secretary of Defense? But it's only when I'm around people who have achieved more than I have, who have more successful stories, more of a resume. I always think to myself, how do I relate to people like this? When I see a book called Guns, Girls, and Greed, I was a Blackwater mercenary. I can't relate to a mercenary. But then I read in the opening statement, fuck, I think I shit my pants. Okay, I can relate to that. We're off to a good start here. So, Ethan, you were my first contractor guest that I've had on, but you didn't claim it. You didn't tell me that you were, so it doesn't count. So the title is being stolen in the same way that Thomas Edison stole Nikola Tesla's inventions. You are my first contractor guest on the show. So everybody, please welcome Morgan Lerette to 4 Years a Slave.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I mean, I'm just a normal dude. I think just like almost everybody else out there, just a normal dude that literally just went and said yes every time I got a chance. So I got some pretty cool stories, and I decided to stick them all in a book. And it's literally like every funny thing that you experienced in the military is in this book. We just happen to be contractors and making a lot more money, and we could look down on you military members because we were you at some point. But
which is exactly what we're here. We're not here to please people or make them feel welcome. Well, I make them feel welcome, I guess, because I need followers and people to watch the show. But it always helps to know that we can bust each other's balls every now and then.
Look, people don't realize they haven't spent time in the military how funny it is on the objective. Like, you're dead serious when something is going on, and then all of a sudden it's like as soon as it's over, that's when the jokes start. I remember, dude, like when I was a kid, we had this guy, so maybe I just grew up this way, but we had this guy that ruptured his testicle in wrestling. Ruptured it. Like, dude, he had like a grape ball, like a grapefruit testicle.
So it busted open.
Yeah, like it was bad.
Wow.
So after a couple of weeks and we knew he wasn't going to die, and he came back to school, we started calling him Uno. And even at Blackwater, like we had a dude that we couldn't remember if his name was Steve or Shane, so we just called him Stain.
Stain.
Yeah, so imagine that. Like, imagine this didn't happen, but a roadside bomb blows up and we're like, Stain is down! Stain is down! Like, dude, it just becomes like, it's just the funniest, weirdest, craziest people you've ever met in your life. And contracting takes that military level and just bumps it up. Absolutely. Like one more level of insanity.
Not to cut it off too early, but the level of because people, you know me, I take my homework seriously. I'm dedicated to this because I love the game. My introduction show for that, but the level of dedication. This man brought his own sign to promote his stuff here, and I know you might be thinking, Cody, are you making anything off of that? Don't you feel it's intrusive? No, not at all. I've never met anyone who actually takes the time to promote their own work. This is why he's successful as the way he is.
It's like it's the same reason why I walk around with my pants unzipped. It pays to advertise,
I never connected the dots with that. That's a good way of putting it. Now, has an advertisement like that paid off, though? Keeping your...
No.
Does size actually matter, as many guys want to know the answer to that myth?
Look, they say it's not very big around, but it sure is short. So let's just get that out there right now.
Yes. So... all jokes set aside, introductions, whatever it may be. So for those of you who, for anyone's watching that is like unfamiliar with you, they don't know anything about Blackwater, your book, who you are, if you could just sum it up, who exactly is Morgan Lerette?
I'm the poor white trash kid that grew up on food stamps and powdered milk. And then grew up in small town USA, was like 1999, no wars. Was like, I'm going to join the military. It's going to be spectacular. I'll do my 6-year contract in the National Guard. Didn't even go active duty, National Guard. I was like, that's the way to do it. And then, college money, and I was going to be the first in my family to go to college. And then Osama bin Laden was like, hold on, bro, I got different plans for you. So I did 2 years active duty in the Air Force. We got activated, did a pump to Oman, did another pump to Jordan, which turned into Kuwait, which turned into Iraq in 2003. So I got to do the ground offensive in Iraq, which was awful. Anybody that tells, like, dude, there's the ground offensive and then there's every other deployment. The ground offensive was absolutely awful. Like, just eating MREs every day, and I don't know. I could pontificate about that for hours.
Of all the things to mention that made it so bad, you put the MREs at the top. I don't know what that says about the MRE. I was imagining, like, I don't know, watching like buddies get killed, roadside bombs. I mean, obviously, I assume that's terrible. But
No, it was mostly about, like, because I was in the Air Force, so it was like meals refusing to exit, and no bathrooms and no showers and no like Kim gear. You can always tell, like, the people that have like the green camo on in Iraq. That's all your Kim gear, because the U.S. military was like, we're ready to do this. Oh yeah, by the way, we don't have any Kim gear that actually matches the desert landscape. So then I came home and my buddy was like, dude, I'm gonna go join Blackwater. And I was like, that sounds crazy. We just saw these guys in like March 2004. These guys got hanged off a bridge in Fallujah. That's when everybody learned about Blackwater. So he's like, I'm gonna go work for them. And I was like, sounds cool, man. He's like, I'm gonna put in a good word for you. Figured I'm never gonna talk to this guy again. Like, probably never even gonna see the guy again. And then I got a call literally like 2-3 days later, and they're like, you want to come work for Blackwater? And I was like, dude, I'm Air Force. I'm security forces. I'm not that cool. And he's like, we don't care. Just come on over. 2 weeks train up. If you pass everything, you get your clearance, we'll send you to Iraq. And I was like, yeah, why not? Just say yes. So I went to go do Blackwater, 23 years old, had no debt. I was like the all-American boy, right? And so I got my security clearance, and then within like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks of starting there, I was on a plane to Jordan and then ultimately into Baghdad for Blackwater. And it was just the heyday of Blackwater. It was like,
if I could backtrack, I find that because I know, like, being in the late GWAT era, nothing's really happened, and I've known some guys who try to go into contracting, and like the standard, they have at least something like, hey, were you special forces? Do you have combat experience? And obviously my peers can't really say that, but the fact that like there's actual Iraq and Afghan war veterans, and they're just like, oh, you were security forces, we'll throw you in for 2 weeks, and then you're like, do you see what I mean? Like that inverse of just of like low standards, but they have all this talent to choose from is like just wild to me.
well, dude, there's not enough Navy SEALs on the planet. Look, I've been to San Diego. I know that everybody at the bar is a Navy SEAL. Don't get me wrong, but there's not enough Navy SEALs on the planet to fill the contract. It was like a 1,000-person contract. So, and they don't get paid until they get people on the ground. So, of course, you want your recon Marines, you want your SEALs, you want your Rangers, you want your SF guys. But dude, there weren't a whole lot of those guys out anyway. And the ones that were, they were older. They had a wife and they had families and stuff. So it was literally like there was an old crew, but most of those guys hadn't had combat. And then there was like the young guys that were coming in. So the Generation Kill guys came in like right after I did. And they were just like, hey, if you can come in and you can pass it, just go for it. So, and Air Force Security Forces is the real SF. Like, let's be honest here. Like the Army has got their nothing but respect for those guys. But I mean, a lot of MPs, a lot of infantry guys, a lot of just basic, everyday Joes that were getting out at the right time. And it really is about the timing, right? Like, I wish I could sit there and say, oh, I was the baddest motherfucker out there. I wasn't. I just knew a guy. It was word of mouth, right time, right place. Go get it done.
Yeah. I love how you like there's not enough Navy SEALs on the planet to be able to fill it. It's like, because they're probably all writing books or, running for Congress and getting APAC money, whatever they do all the time. Not to throw politics into it, but it's very, I don't know, cheap joke to try to make fun of the Navy SEALs, but it's I don't know. I find it interesting because the more I've listened to some of your stories on the contractor world, really, I didn't understand the whole dynamic. Like, there's a massive world and dynamic about that side of combat or that side of adventure, whatever category you want to throw it in. It really is an interesting world. I forget the He was why am I blanking on his name? But he was like the CEO of Blackwater. He ended up
Eric Prince.
Eric Prince, yeah. I remember you were talking and sharing your opinions on him, and it's like I'm surprised you don't hear conspiracy theorists talking about this guy and the stuff he's involved with. Like it's a very under-researched world that you guys have, and it's fascinating.
Well, and it's all out there in the open. It's just most people don't know where to look. So that's the crazy thing is I could go on there and I could say, oh, I see this is happening over here or over there. But it's really because I was in that, right? It's like a plumber goes in and looks at your toilet and is like, oh, man, that's being clogged up by a huge turd. They just know. All right. So it's experience and understanding that world to be able to look at something and go, ooh, that's fishy. I know what's going on there.
Yeah. So if somebody were looking at the contracting world, whether they're military or not or whatever, and they're trying to understand the big difference, because you've had quite an interesting military resume, and then you also did contracting. But what would you say is the biggest difference between the two, and what would you say is probably the biggest misconception maybe people have about contracting that you want to set straight?
The biggest difference is the lack of bureaucracy. Like when we got over there, it was like, this is your new team. You guys don't know anything. I think we didn't have GPS. We didn't have anything, right?
Yeah.
Like you stood over this big map and you're like, hey, we got to drive around that river and then we got to go over there. And it was just no bull crap. You don't have like Big Brother checking on your stuff. Oh, do you have your ammo? Do you have your water? You didn't bring that stuff, dude. That's on you.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it was big boy rules, and it was awesome, right? Because coming from the military, where it's like if you're an NCO, you end up getting in trouble because your Joe decided that he didn't have clean socks on. All that stuff is gone, and that was so refreshing. And also the fact that we didn't have to put up with people's bullcrap, right? Just because you were a E7, E89 in the military, or a major, it didn't matter what you were doing. If something was fucked up, you could just sit there and go, dude, this is fucked up. Like, why are we doing this? And it happened repeatedly. Like, there was mutinies all the time where we were kicking out leadership that were trying to really run it like the military, but we were all past that point in our lives, and we knew we didn't have to put up with that crap.
Yeah. Do you think that's because for most, I mean, especially for me, it's like that the opposite of that, like the bureaucracy and the very strict not high standard, but just like the hierarchy that it had. That's the only military that a lot of us know, but was that better, would you say? Or like,
100%.
Like for the unit's sake, I guess? Or?
Well, I mean, look, you can look at it one of two ways, right? Like the guy that's sitting in the back of the Suburban and you can smell beer on his breath and it's like 10 a.m., like that probably isn't the best. But at the end of the day, he's the medic and he's going to save your life, so you don't really care.
Yeah.
But the opposite side of it is that without that bureaucracy, you don't have any support. So, dude, if we got to northern Baghdad, we didn't have radio comms. If something happened, it's not like you could call in big army and be like, hey, something's going on.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally just you and your dudes. And half the time, I remember one of the guys I worked with, he got there right after there was a bombing in the green zone, and he didn't even know the green zone was like the safe area. So as soon as the bombing blew up, the Haji Mart, as we called it.
The Haji Mart?
Yeah, the Haji Mart, man. It's like where they would sell all these random trinkets and DVDs and crap.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like the little flea market and stuff like that. Okay.
Dude, so him and this other guy that was on my first team, they start kicking in doors, man, and they're trying to get back to our compound. He's like, whoa, what's going on? Like, dude, so there's this big part where you don't get to see this strategy because you don't have as much bureaucracy and you don't have the support that you have, but at the same time, like, you trust the dudes that you're with a hell of a lot more than anybody that where you're like, oh, hey, you joined the military for the same reason I did because you were poor and stupid. Like you can get rid of guys like me pretty easy, which is probably, good for everybody else.
No, I get it. Is it because I know a lot of people when they get out, they think of, well, I'll go, I didn't get what I wanted when I was in the Marines or the Army, so I'll try contracting. I'll go to the Foreign Legion in Ukraine or the French Foreign, And I think a lot of us, we never articulated, we just wanted adventure. We just wanted something to go, experience and do no matter if it got us killed or not. Did contracting fulfill that, I would say, for you guys?
Well, I mean, it absolutely did. Because back in 04, 05, like, we had almost no adult supervision. So you could go out there and look. I'm not telling you anything you can't look up on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Like Eric Prince said, there was like 46 shots that we had the entire time. Dude, we did that in like a week.
46. That sounds like a typical firefight, I would assume, from the stories I've heard.
Like, dude, it was not. It was like we didn't do reports. Even if we did reports, they would go up to the State Department. We'd never see them again. Yeah. Nobody really knew where we were driving or where we were going. Like, this was before Blue Force Tracker really kicked off, right? So you couldn't really track vehicles. Yeah. It was just it was like Amazon when it first started, and it's got this upward trajectory of like growth, and everybody's just kind of making stuff up as you go.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, you know, trust the people that you're with. So of course you're doing the best that you can to where you can sleep at night. You're not going out there and being like, oh, I'm gonna go get some today. I mean, there were some psychos, but for the most part, go out there, make your 500, 550 a day, come home, go to the pool, hit the gym, try to look as good as you can, looking all tan. Get some sleep and let's do the next thing. Do the same thing over again.
Yeah, I remember you were talking about, and because I'm trying to remember the people that you talked about. There was an Army Ranger that was kind of out of shape. Dave, the Asian guy. I want to say there was maybe Ethan in there. I can't. I'm only 7 chapters in, so I'm just starting to learn the people. But you said that you trust a lot of the guys you were with, but it sounds like you almost had a mixed bag of people that came in, especially with it being the early days of Blackwater. So was there a lot of like, some almost like in the military where they're like, these are some of the greatest guys I'll ever meet. Like they're great athletes. They do well under pressure, but then you also have like the shit bags or the fake tough guys that come into. Was it like that as well?
Oh, dude, it was like prison. It was like it's straight up like prison. The first guy that comes to talk to you at Blackwater is the guy that doesn't have any friends. You don't want to be friends with that guy. Same with prison.
Yeah.
You have all types of people. You got the guys that are saying they were SF, they weren't. You have like it was just this. It was absolutely a mixed bag of people. But I would say by and large, most of the guys out there were just dudes like me that were like, this is my chance to get my war on, my chance to make more money than I thought I'd ever see in my life. And I'm gonna go over here and do it for X amount of time, and then leave. And then some people just, they just kept doing it. But like we had an Army Ranger that was a former Army Ranger in the '80s, and he had a sleep apnea machine, dude. So every time we go somewhere, he'd have like this Pelican case that he'd drag along with him. And it's not like their electricity is the same as the U.S. electricity. So he had all these gadgets to make sure that his sleep apnea machine didn't blow up. And it was just, it was like almost you had like the old hats and then you had the young guys.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of middle. It was the guys that had gotten out in the, early 90s, or dudes like me that had just got done with Iraq and then came in. So it was, to say it was a mixed bag, it was a bag of characters. It was like going to one of those freak shows.
Like the bag of misfit toys, would you almost say? Or?
Yeah, like going to the circus back when they had the bearded lady and stuff.
Yeah,
it was an interesting, just the coolest guys on the planet. But
Step right up, retired Marines.
Yep.
This is your
this is it.
new post. I'm trying to imagine though, like, did he ever have to take that CPAP machine outside? I'm just trying to imagine the dumb idea. Like, how do you hike with basically like a travel suitcase that's carrying a CPAP machine, or like if you're like a Taliban guy, you're looking through your binoculars because you think you're going to set up an ambush, and you're like, what the hell is that, like, rocket mask or whatever that thing is next to that fat body just sleeping?
I mean, for the most part, we didn't do anything where we were out of the wire overnight, right? So it'd be go take your principal to wherever their meeting is, come back. But like the overnight stuff, yeah, it was like the guy would be like, well, if we got to do overnight, then I better bring my Pelican case. And we're like, dude, that thing's going to kill it. We're going to get in an accident, and I'm going to get killed by a CPAP machine.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, something cool.
I'm trying to think of my counterinsurgent tactical brain is thinking, but I suppose you could use it as a, if you really want to get crazy with it, you could make it like an IED, like an improvised explosive device, maybe leave it behind, put whatever, contraptions you want in there, and then like the Taliban thinks they're going to get something cool, and then, you've got a few extra kills behind you.
Yeah, the only problem with that is that you're also going to have to sacrifice the guy that uses it every night. But, at that point, I would have been all right with that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, what's the... I'm forgetting the quote, but it's like, it's a lesser of two evils. You sacrifice one of your guys, but you've killed 5 of the enemy. I mean, I'm a numbers guy. I think that's worth it.
Statistics. No, but it was just like the weirdest dudes on the planet. It was spectacular, and most of them were absolutely awesome guys. But like the early days were just it's hard to even describe. It's like the ground offensive versus going to Iraq in like 06, 07, where they have infrastructure. Like we just had like this old circus tent that we would plan our ops in, and it was the only place that you had internet. So that got hit by a rocket, actually, and I'm sitting there talking to my buddy, and we're probably, I don't know, 30, 40 meters away from it. Like, but it wasn't as loud as like a normal rocket, but we knew it got hit.
Yeah.
And my buddy looks over at me and goes, fuck, there goes our internet. That was it. Like, we didn't give a shit that there were people in there. We're like, okay, we run over there and we're like, people are going to be dead. Like, turns out, like, the fuse didn't go off in the rocket. So everybody survived. But at the end of the day, like, that was his first inclination, was like, no, I can't get on MySpace tonight.
People, you are expendable and you are replaceable. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you can move on with your life. What am I blanking on? Oh, yeah. But, is contracting, I mean, I know you've been out of it for a little bit, but since you're still connected in that world, is it still like that, or has it changed, I assume, a little bit?
Look, it's way more professional than what you're going to read about in the book. Like, even talking to Ethan, he's like, oh, we had like a 3-month train up, and we had to do this, and we had to do that. Like, we didn't do any of that stuff. Yeah. So, like, the early days are pretty much gone for most of your contracting gigs. And then you'll have something pop up, like the Gaza humanitarian aid gig. And that goes straight back to like old is new again. These guys are just making stuff up, and it's absolutely crazy. The new gigs that are probably going to pop up are going to be like the Board of Peace is going to use PMCs. That's going to be a crazy time. Yeah. But for the most part, the stuff that's been going on for 20 years, they've really kind of taken all the fun out of it. Let's be honest. And you're going to go over there, and it's going to be boring. I talked to somebody that said that on their 6-month pump, they only left the wire twice. Yeah. Like, now that's boring as shit. I don't care how much money you're making. Like, that is boring. And the money's not the same as it was. Like, the money when we got there, for today's money, it'd be about $1,000 a day. Yeah. You're not making that anymore. You're making $350, $450, maybe $500.
So it's like, yeah, I guess it's been like the opposite of inflation. It's like you've actually getting paid less, but, you know, everything's still going up and all that. Yeah,
I mean, look, you got the supply now, right? When I got there in 2004, Afghanistan only had like 15,000 troops there. Yeah. So there weren't a whole lot of people coming out from Afghanistan that had just gotten out. Iraq had just kicked off. Now, after, 10 years in Iraq and 20 years in Afghanistan, there's a lot more supply of dudes that want these jobs. Yeah. Whereas, right place, right time, man. I just lucked out.
Yeah, it's because from what it seems like, I guess that could be like another misconception, at least in today's contracting anyway, is I think people, when they hear about it, they think they're going to be doing like missions all the time, ground operations, and I assume there's some of that, but it seems like you're mostly just protecting diplomats or escorting, VIPs or business people. It's really more of just like a big like a more dangerous security detail. Would that sound about right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, dude, you're not doing DA. Like, everybody thinks we're out there doing direct action and all. Like, no. You got essentially, like, when the president or when senators go somewhere, they send out the advance team. They scope it out. They look at roofs. Look on the roofs, people, for the love of God. And then then you bring your principal in. They do whatever they need to do, and then you take them back, right, to wherever the safe place is. So
yeah. Yeah, I was listening to one of your stories you were talking about, because that sounds like most of it. And then there was one, I think, when Ukraine popped off. You're like, yeah, people are getting paid $10,000 a day, but it's like they're not just escorting, like they're literally fighting the Spetsnaz Russian tanks. It's like you're it's $10,000 a day, but you're probably like. It's like room clearing. The attrition rate's probably going to be very high for you.
Oh, dude, they got chewed up. Like the early PMCs got chewed up bad in Ukraine, and you don't hear about it, and it didn't make the news. But those guys that were going over there, they were doing direct action. They were on the front lines, and they were like getting absolutely slaughtered.
Yeah, yeah. So why did you decide to leave contracting then? With all because at least from the early days, when it sounds like there's a lot of perks to it. You were getting adventure, good money at the time. But what was the decision to call it quits?
So I never thought of it. Same way with the military. I never thought of it as like a career. I always thought of it like, go make your money, get your adventure, be done with it. Right. So when I joined the military, it was the same thing. Go get your training, get your college money, be done with it. I got to Blackwater. I knew I was going to do 18 months because there's a lot of tax benefits if you stay there for 330 out of 365 days. So I was going to do June through, December of 2004, and then I was going to do all of 2005, and then I was done. Now, it helps that I got fired. Like, let's be honest. I got fired twice. The running joke is that if you never got fired at Blackwater, you were probably a turd. So I got fired twice, and then I came home, and I was like, it's time to be a grown-up. Like, it's time to actually have a life as opposed to going overseas. Like, you don't have a life as a contractor. You don't get paid when you get home. You're literally going over there. Your buddies are there. It feels like home over there. You come home. It doesn't feel like home. And then you're like, oh, I just spent all my money. I got to keep going back. So
Yeah.
for me, like, I knew I was going to try to make that clean break. And I did, I did entertain the idea of going back, because once you get fired, it doesn't matter. Nobody was tracking anything back then.
Oh, okay.
So I could have went back to probably a different contract, or I could have got on with Triple Canopy if I wanted.
Yeah.
And I did reach out to them and talk to them a few times. And then finally I was like, no, I got to be a big boy. Like, I am 26, 27 years old. Like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I would much rather just like be a big boy, finish college, see where life takes me.
And I imagine physically it was probably tolling on you too, because like, I mean, even if you're not like, even if you're just in the regular military, it's almost like being a blue collar guy or like a pro athlete. It's like your body's just gonna like, dude, you gotta listen to me a little more. Like, we can't keep doing all this stuff. I assume like being a contractor, was it the same?
No, because we had steroids and it was spectacular. Yeah.
Well, this is the 2000s though. I thought the steroids were still like on the decline. Or do I have my timeline right? Wasn't that the time when steroids was getting like cracked down on pretty hard?
Probably, but when you're in Iraq, nobody cares. I'll tell you that.
That is a good point. They're way behind technology. It's probably like 80s baseball season for them back then.
No, I mean, like your body and your mind, or at least mine, like they were it was taking a toll on them, but at the end of the day, I didn't notice it. So that was definitely not even in my thought process. It was really like, at some point, you're going to want to have a wife and kids and a dog and a white picket fence. Like, you can't do that contracting. And I can't tell you how many people would like throw their marriages away.
Yeah.
There's like this dude he was like in the military for 27 years and he's making money and he's like, well, I'm getting divorced. My wife wants me to come home, but I'll never make money like this. Now she's going to take half my retirement, so I'm just going to keep staying over here. Like, dude, people just throwing away everything to keep chasing the dragon, like the adventure and the money and everything else. So, not to bum everybody out, but private contractors have a way higher suicide rate than military members. And there's no data on it. Nobody tracks this stuff, but I can tell you, just based on what I've seen, private military contractors, you don't have the support, you don't have the, hey, thanks for your service, you don't have any of that stuff. It's just you when you get home, and you with your thoughts when you get home, and having a hard time finding a job when you were making $200,000 a year. Dude, it's hard.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will, fall into that chasm and not be able to drag themselves out, man.
It does make a lot more sense when you word it, and from other shows that I've listened to, you make it sound as if it's, or probably have used the term, but it's like a drug addiction.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, you're getting all the money, in the world, that you want. I mean, at least a lot of it. You're getting all the adventure you want, but you have to, like, combat vets will say this all the time. It's like, it's so hard to adjust from that, because it's like, I don't feel pleasure or fulfillment by working a 9 to 5 or being with my family. Is like, it's addicting to do that. And now, it's like, I can't find that anywhere else. And in a weird way, it's like, even when military guys get out, like, like myself, I was a peacetime guy, late GWAT, but I still, I thought about going to Ukraine. I thought about going to Burma and stuff like that. And I didn't end up doing it, but it's just like, there's just a part of you that just, it's a long-winded way of saying that the drug addiction still needs to, you still feel that withdrawal in the back of your mind.
Yeah, it's like, hit me. Come on, man. Just one more. I swear I'm going to quit after this. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, there's people that are still in the game, man. It's crazy. So, dude, as long as they're happy, I don't care.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I just knew I could never have a normal life if that was my job.
Yeah. I mean, but even with that said, do you still, like, looking back on it, do you still miss it? I mean, are there parts of it, like, even if it's just your regular military career, do you still miss that, that side, that vocation of your life?
You don't miss the circus, but you miss the clowns. Mm-hmm. Right. Like you miss the people, and the people that I care about, they're my phone. I can reach out to them.
Yeah.
I'll be like, one of them the other day was like, hey, by the way, I'm going to be in your neck of the woods. Can I stay the night? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like these are just cool dudes. But yeah, you absolutely miss the people and you miss the money. But at the end, I mean, come on, man. Like, you got to grow up at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything witty to say about growing up. I mean, I guess you do. I mean, like, I'm almost there. I'm like almost in my 30s, so I'm not quite at that point where I'm like, you know what? I should probably have a family so I don't look like that single bachelor when I'm in my 50s or something like that. But yeah, I guess when you get to that age, it's like, all right, time to, like you said, time to grow up, time to face reality, I suppose you'd say.
Yeah.
I do want to get into the thumbnail real quick if I can, or thumb. So Is this in I'm going to take a wild guess. Is this one in Iraq?
That one is in Iraq.
Okay.
That is in northern Iraq, up just north of Suburban.
That's a high quality picture for was it 2004, 2005?
Dude, I had a really nice camera. I mean, thank God we didn't have cameras on our phones. We'd all been arrested. But yeah, so the picture that you're showing is we were up at this hotel in Sumanaya. We were protecting the guys that were collecting evidence against Saddam Hussein and Chemical Ali for killing all the Kurds in like 1988.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're up at that hotel, and it was right after like Ramadan ended, and we're supposed to have this big feast. And I was like, dude, I'm not going down to that feast, because I watched them put it all out, and it's all these like locals, and they're like eating with their hands, and like there's just like the most unsanitary thing you've ever seen in your life. And dude, the main course is this fish that they pulled out of God knows where. I don't even know where they have water up there, but they got this fish, and it looks like the fish from The Simpsons. It's got like 3 eyes, and they're bulging out and stuff. It only had 2 eyes, but still, it was like gross. So I'm like, screw this. I'm going back to my room. My team leader comes in, to his credit, knocks on the door, and is like, you need to be down here, man. Like these people are putting on a show for us. We got to do it. So I was like, all right, I'll go down there, but I'm just going to start drinking. So I go down there, maybe I grab some hummus or something. I don't even remember. We start drinking because they had a bar, and probably like 2-3 hours later, well, the first thing they do is they take that, it's this horrible alcohol. It tastes like black licorice, and they pour it over ice, and it's clear, and it turns white. And they're like, this is a specialty. And I was like, that tastes like ass. Like, that was the most disgusting thing ever. But after 3 or 4 of them, we started arm wrestling the locals, and that's me arm wrestling the bartender in the back. Yeah. And dude, like when all your buddies, your Blackwater buddies are sitting there, like you don't lose an arm wrestling competition to the random barkeep at the side. So yeah, dude, I smoked that guy, but my arm was sore the next day. I was like, oh man, I might have went a little too hard there.
Was it you, or was it the licorice alcohol that probably gave you the juice you needed to win? Because it does sound like that would probably almost like the way coffee elevates you, or like gets you really alert and up there. Did that shot do any tricks for you?
No, it was just disgusting. But they had beer, like, dude, in northern Iraq, so northern Iraq is Kurdistan, and they have their own taxation and their own military and their own everything. Yeah. So it's like almost going to a different country once you get north of Kirkuk. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they had like every booze that you wanted, and it was one of the, on that side, it's the Talibanis. It's like the Talibanis owned that, so it was like anything the Americans wanted, they're here to like help us prosecute Saddam Hussein, Chemical Ali, get them what they want. We had hotel rooms, but the hotel rooms were so. It was apparently they said it was for like people on their honeymoon. So we went into this hotel room, and I looked down at the toilet, and there's like this bidet, and I was like, boy, I've never tried one of those, man. so dude, I fire that thing up. And it's like the coldest water ever, shooting right into my O-ring. And I was like, ooh! Yeah. And I was like, why do anybody like this thing? Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Mm-hmm. So got that first bidet, arm wrestle the staff, try not to have an international incident. It was a nice, that was like the first week we were up there. And then we came back down, reconstituted, and went back up for like a couple months.
You didn't arm wrestle him with his left hand, the one that they're wiping their rear end with?
No, dude. And like, I didn't even know that existed until my buddy was telling me all about it. Like, oh yeah, the left hand thing. Yeah. Because you go in the bathroom, and there's no toilet paper, and you're like, what do you do? And you look over, and there's just this hose.
Yeah.
Like a hose, or it was like a watering pot. And he's like, yeah, you just pour it in your hand and clean it out. And I was like, you got to be shitting me, man.
Yeah, no pun intended, but yeah.
No wonder we all have dysentery, dude.
I don't want to sound like a like I love like I've had nothing but great interactions with like Arabs who live in the United States, but it's like, do you guys still do that even when you're here? I'm very curious to see if that's a common, like, look, I'm just saying, adapt. Toilet paper does wonders, believe it or not.
There's no trees in Iraq, let's be honest here. How are you going to make the paper?
That is a good point. It's almost like buying milk, like in Hawaii. It's like, super expensive to import or something like that.
Yeah, so just for royalty.
Oh, yeah. Did Saddam Hussein wipe his ass with toilet paper? Or because correct me if I'm wrong, was it the new embassy they used Saddam's palace to make, or like your camp was near it? Because I remember you were talking about how you had been there, you saw some of like the murals, and you took a picture next to like the Saddam statue head or something?
Yeah, he definitely wiped his ass with silk, and he didn't wipe it himself. He had somebody else wipe it for him.
As a true dictatorship.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest here. So, I mean, by the time we got there, they had put a chow hall in and all this other. There's like, they take a single bathroom that's the size of probably a 4,000 square foot house. Put a bunch of urinals and stuff in there. So I didn't get to go see Saddam. The ambassador stayed in Saddam's old room. I never got to go in there and check that one out.
Wow. Okay. Was there ever a part of you that just like stood back in awe of just that? Like, because if you take a step back and think about that, like that was like the palace of a sitting dictator, the guy who killed, the Kurds at the gassings. He literally, this close to capturing Kuwait and controlling half the world's oil. It's like not like a world superpower, but it's like it's still a big, like this is one of the great men of history, you could say, and here you are just like having chow and like taking pictures inside his palace or something like that.
It was awe-inspiring, like walking through, coming from starting to grow up in trailers and then crappy apartments and then you name it, like going to a place like that where no expense was spared. It was like just looking up at the ceiling, I would just sit there and be like, this is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like it is the nicest stuff you've ever seen. And then you get outside of the green zone, and it is the exact opposite. It's like the slums.
Yeah. Okay. Were you in Iraq at the time when they ended up killing him or when they executed him?
No, I was not there when they executed him. I don't remember when that was, but I was.
Wasn't it like Christmas of '06 or something? It was. I think it was in the mid 2000s that they did it.
Yeah. So I was done with Blackwater. I was back home when they executed him. But the place we used to run with Blackwater for the regime crimes was always JSS Justice. Mm-hmm. And that's where all the high-value targets were at. Saddam Hussein was different. He was at Camp Victory.
Yeah.
But I got to go hang out in the gallows. And
Really?
yeah. And then when I went back as an Army officer, because God's got a sense of humor, I took over an intel team up at JSS Justice.
Wow.
And I got to go back there and see like the gallows and everything. Like I got pictures of it. I'll have to shoot you some, but it's crazy.
No, I'd love to see that. So the place that you were, like the actual camp, this was where they were keeping like actual war criminals that they were going to obviously execute or, take care of in some fashion or prosecute in some way?
Yeah, the prosecution was done. So it was a detention facility and like it was just, hey, now it's your turn to walk. So they walk up to the gallows and they had like the old hangman's thing where you pull it and the trap door would fall out from underneath.
Yeah.
And then they glued a mattress on the bottom of the trap door because when the metal would hit the metal early, it would get everybody all crazy right across the river at like Solder City. So
you could hear it that far away?
Yeah, you could do it. It was apparently really loud. So
Wow.
They had a mattress that was literally glued to the bottom of it to make it like less loud when they were hanging people.
Dude, that's insane. So did you actually witness the hangings or like actually see that stuff?
No. No, that was all like the detention facility and like the gallows and stuff was on the Iraqi side of it. So you were allowed to go in, like we would be able to drive in, drop off stuff. We could tour it, but at the end of the day, like walk into the building, there was like an office, big long office, and then there was a desk at the end, and that's where the judge would be sitting, and they'd be like, "Hey, you've been sentenced to death." And then you walk down the hallway. There was a little shower where they could shower. Scale where they'd weigh them to figure out how long the rope needed to be, and then they'd walk them into like this like a little viewing area, and past that viewing area up the gallows, and then
Man.
yeah.
Did you actually see ever interact or actually see the people that were detained or the prisoners?
Yeah, actually, I got to see, when I was there for the Army, I got to see Tariq Aziz, I think his name was, the guy with the little mustache.
Tariq Aziz. Let me pull
Yeah,
this one up.
he had like a little mustache. He was there. He ended up not being hanged, but he was very like, you'll see him. He's a short guy. He's got a mustache. And he was out, and they had them all in this cage. Might have been like a 20 by 10 foot cage where they could go and exercise, and he was there.
Was it this guy?
That's him. That's old Tariq Aziz. And he was in there in the cage, and he was up against the mirror, and he's just brushing his mustache. He just wanted his mustache to look really good at all times, apparently.
I mean, it is a good mustache.
Yeah.
Very, very well clean. I think it's in regs, actually. So, the military, the UCMJ would approve. But was between all the prisoners and the people that were being detained, what was probably I mean, I assume some were famous and you probably knew, but was there anyone that like you heard of the stuff they did and you're like, oh, that's like a real like prisoner. That's like a real evil guy. Like, was there anyone that really stood out to you?
Only like you have Chemical Ali, you have,
and you don't have to mention. I don't know what if you're on like an NDA and you can't mention certain stuff.
No, but they that's where they took all the bad guys. So it was like I think when I was there for the Army, we ended up collecting a bunch of intel, and they took down the number 5 most wanted guy in Baghdad. And they brought him to the detention facility. So like you knew it was just full of like the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
And probably a whole bunch of innocent people too. Like that's Iraq.
Yeah. I mean, it was it's the Nuremberg trials for Iraq in a sense. I mean, maybe not Nuremberg. I mean, but it's a criminal show, for publicity, I guess you could say. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them did deserve it. Don't get me wrong, but what was the fill my questions here. So what's because this just seems like a normal portrait, but with you just with your hair screwed up. Is there a good backstory to this one?
So we were up in Suburban. We had the entire floor of the hotel, and I don't remember the name of the hotel, but it was right at the end of the street in Suburban, and then the street ended, and there was this big market, and I think it was the 5th floor, and they were like, okay, we need to have everybody have like name placards. And I was like, dude, what are you talking about, name placards? Like, I know exactly who's on my team. I know all 20 of these people. Why do we need this crap? And they were like, we got to do it for security, and we got the Peshmerga that's going to protect this and protect that. And I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Mm-hmm. Like, we're all a bunch of 6 foot to 6'8" white guys, except for the one Asian dude. Like, we know who each other is. And so they made me go and take my picture. And I was like literally laying in bed, and they were like, that's really how you want your picture to look? And I was like, yeah, this is stupid. Like, that's how stupid this is. Yeah. So that's my picture. I had that on a badge, and I would have to show that to the security people as I was like walking around the hotel and walking in and out. And I was like, this is just, I mean, looking back on it, I was like a rebel without a cause. Yeah. Like, who cares? Like comb your hair a little bit. But at the time I was like, this is so dumb. I don't even want to deal with it.
No, I get it. Yeah. It's very, put that on a bumper sticker. This is so dumb. I don't even want to deal with it. Very, very common theme with the military and contracting world. I
mean, the funniest stuff doesn't have pictures to it. Yes. Because like you just don't have the time to sit there in the moment and be like, I got to get a picture of this. Now, I do have a picture, and I didn't send it to you. I'll tell you the story. Okay. So 2 rules of being in an armored Suburban. 1, keep it buttoned up. So the windows don't usually roll down. The driver's side and the passenger side window roll down like 3 to 4 inches. Mm-hmm. Don't open the doors unless you have to. That way, if something blows up, like there's not a bunch of stuff going into your vehicle and killing everybody. Number 2, you don't fart. You don't fart in an armored Suburban.
Huh, okay.
Because it's disgusting, and you're just stuck in that filth, right? And I had a guy, his name was Ray. He was like the sheriff of farting in the Suburban. Like, if somebody farted in the Suburban, he'd be the first guy. So we get these new guys, they come in, they're on their first or second run, they fart in the Suburban, and Ray would be like, dude, you don't fart in the Suburban. And they'd be like, ha, ha, ha. And he's like, no, I'm fucking serious. You don't fart in the Suburban. Yeah. We're stuck in here. We're not going to be stuck with your disgusting filth in this sarcophagus. Yes. Because you're too disgusting to be able to hold your farts in. Like, you don't fart in the fucking Suburban. Dude, like, and he would dress people down about farting in the Suburban. Yeah. So it was late 2005. We're in Kirkuk. Our principal's late for some reason. Dude, we lived on this fob that was like the size of a football stadium. Not like a big football stadium, like a high school football stadium. Yeah. Tiny. I don't know why this guy's late, but he's 45 minutes late. We're driving, and it's pitch black, which you never want to drive when it's black, or when it's dark at night in Iraq, because they turn off their headlights. For some reason, they think they get better gas mileage if their headlights are off. What? So it's like pitch black. We're going north. People are like turning their headlights on all of a sudden when we're within like 100 meters of these guys. And I'm like, dude, we're just going to die driving. It's bad enough. Yeah. And Ray's like, and I'm the tactical commander in the front vehicle. Ray's like, Morgan, we need to pull over. I'm going to shit my pants. And I was like, dude, there's no fart in the Suburban. There's no shitting in the Suburban either, dude. You can't do it. You got to hold it. And he's like, no, this is like on a scale of 1 to 10. This is like a 14, dude. Like, this is bad. So I was like, hold on. So I called back to the team leader, and I was like, hey, Mikey, Ray's having like a existential problem here. Like, we got to pull over. He's going to shit his pants. And he's like, nope, we're already late. Absolutely not. We're not pulling off to the side. Like, what? We're not going to be able to explain that. Yes. So I looked back at Ray, and I was like, what do you think, Ray? And he's like, dude, it's coming either way. Yeah. So he is foraging for anything. He grabs like an MRE, rips it open, which is the hardest thing to do. Like somehow he rips this thing open and he's getting ready to like figure out.
Wait, he didn't use teeth, no knife, nothing like that. Just that's
dude,
some pretty thick plastic that they use.
Yeah, he was like the Hulk, man. Hulk Hogan ripping his shirt off with his MRE. So he's getting ready to figure out how to shit in this bag, and he looks over and he's like, "Whose cooler is that?" And I was like, "Dude, you can't shit in our cooler, man. You can't do it."
Oh my
and he's like, "It's coming either way. So I'll buy us like 10 coolers. I don't give a shit, man." So we're like, "All right, go shit in the cooler." So everything's all buttoned up, and I'm looking in the back. And if you've ever seen a grown man try to take a shit.
Yeah, can I cut you off here?
Yeah.
So you guys are still in the car.
Yeah, we're driving like 80.
You're driving 80 miles an hour, still in the car in Iraq. Could be IEDs, could be fighters anywhere. You're following the rules. You're keeping it buttoned down. But now the nuclear waste is going to go off in the back of this truck.
Oh yeah, no, like
Suburban.
like the bomb is already in air heading towards Hiroshima, which is us at this point. Like it's coming. It doesn't matter what we do.
In a cooler too.
Yeah. So I look back, dude, and he's like sitting on this blue cooler. In the book, I call it red, but it turns out it's blue because I got a picture of it, and it's. Well, we'll get there.
With the shit in it?
Yeah. So I look back, dude, and he's sitting on the cooler, and it's got like his little toilet seat is like the cooler top is like sitting on the back. So it looks like he's on a toilet. And dude, I'm laughing. It's like the funniest thing I've ever heard or ever seen in my life. And dude, the stench comes up from the back and just slaps me in the face. And I look over at the driver, and the driver looks over at me, and he's like, and I was like, roll them down, dude. So we roll down all the windows. We got like 4 inches. The guy in the back, the other dude in the back is like opening up the door to try to get this stuff out. We're like, Ray, dude, you got to finish up. Mikey gets on the call. He's like, hey, see your guys' doors open up there. What's going on? And I'm like, it's bad, Mikey, dude. It's bad. It's like Satan's breath up here, dude. Like it is that bad. It's like a Labrador that goes out and eats a piece of cat shit. Yeah. And then comes in and like blows that hot breath. Like I could feel the temperature of his poop. That's
the perfect description for something like that.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for this to be. I'm going to use a very obscure history reference here. I'm waiting for this to be like the USS Indianapolis, where it's like you guys are just. Because right now it sounds like the vehicle is in its worst exposed position possible.
Oh, 100%.
Because the windows are down. You've opened up the car doors. So now if something does happen, this is like the worst case scenario. And you have a guy physically out of the fight right now.
Oh, he
is. Probably you guys are out of the fight too with the way the smell's going. Like no ambush, no nothing, no fire. Like I'm just part of me is like waiting. Like, does this story get worse?
Well, it gets worse, but not in that way. So finally, like Ray gets done doing his business. He closes the door, and the best part of this whole thing is we got like he's pretty high up there, like the State Department guy, and he's in the limo. He's in the middle vehicle, and they're like trying to hold a straight face while we're on the radio talking about how terrible his shit is. So he closes it up, dude, and like tapes it, and we button everything back up. We get all the way up there. You get out. Principal gets out. You know, you walk him into the hotel. You do a little diamond, right? Guy in the front, guy on each side, guy in the back. Yeah. Get him to where he needs to be. And then we come back out, and the other guy that's in the vehicle's like, hey, Morgan, dude, you want to check out that cooler? And I was like, no, I don't want to check out this fucking cooler. And he's like, we got to check it out. And I was like, yeah, you're right. We totally got to check it out. So we go back there, dude. We cut off the tape. We look in it, and it is just like toxic sludge, dude. It is like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Of course, I take a picture of it, and then I'm looking at it on the camera, and it's not any better on the camera. And I was like, dude, go throw that shit away, man. He walks over to the side of the hotel, takes this thing, and just flings it off the side. And I was like, dude, you just threw like toxic Avenger waste right next to the hotel. And he's like, come on over here. So I go over there, and it's literally just like this pile of garbage. So in the nicest hotel in Iraq, like as soon as they're done with all their stuff from the hotel, they just pile up this huge pile of garbage.
Like a landfill kind of thing?
Yeah, like a landfill. It's like, it's disgusting. And I was like, what is wrong with these people? Like, this makes absolutely no sense.
No.
So I do have that picture. I refuse to send it to you because I'm telling you, like, I accidentally clicked on it the other day when I was going through pictures, and I was like, this is still 20-something years later, like, this still makes my stomach do a little flip-flop.
Well, as it should. I mean, there's a reason that we find human shit repulsive, I would assume. I don't even know if I would be allowed to post that on it. Wouldn't it? I'm pretty sure that would get taken down, wouldn't it? That violates some type of community guidelines, doesn't it?
I mean, people might not. Maybe it's like one of those pictures where people don't understand what it is until they really focus in.
Yeah.
But no, it was bad and hilarious.
If I post a picture of that, I can't do the picture alone. I need an actual clip of someone explaining that, because if I just post a picture of a cooler with human shit in it, people are gonna look at me like, "What the fuck is this guy doing here? What's the branding image that this is going for?"
He's got a fetish. We don't judge.
I heard Odell Beckham. Do you know the wide receiver from the? I heard he is a shit fetish. We don't judge, but
Yep.
it's a real thing apparently. I don't know why though. That's like of all the. I won't judge. I know like. We all have some weird attraction or kink, I would assume, but it's like, why shit though? Like, I don't know. I can't follow up on it. What was this other thumbnail? Oh yeah, and this was you. Obviously you were an intelligence officer then.
I was an intel officer on that one. So, dude, all I wanted to do when I got into the Army was not go back to Iraq. Like, I wanted to go to Afghanistan. I wanted to do anything but go back to Iraq.
Can I peel it back real quick?
Yeah.
So, from what it sounds like, you go to Blackwater. You like the fact how there's no bureaucracy. It's big boy rules. But then, of all things, why would you think of going to be an officer where, in fact, it's like literally the reverse of that? Maybe it was a little different back then because it was the 2000s when you commissioned. But what would make you want to go back? But now you're the dark side. You're in the leadership bill. It almost sounds like the opposite of being a mercenary.
Yeah, it absolutely was. So, there's a part of me looking back on it where, like, I realized I probably wanted to get back into the fight and be in that cool job and doing cool stuff, right? A lot of the PMCs that have gotten out, they become like firefighters and police officers and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that was part of it. And I thought, if I'm going to go back in, well, one, I don't have a job. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm literally just finishing college. It's 2007. The housing bust is getting ready to just like explode.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can join the Army and then I can go fly. And then they told me, hey, if you want to fly, that's cool. It's a 7.5-year contract. Oh, and by the way, you really only fly for like the first 2 years, and then you become like a manager of the people that actually fly helicopters. And I was like, that sounds like it sucks.
Yeah.
So I was talking to my buddy, the Asian guy from the book, and he's like, go Intel. So I ended up going Intel, ended up getting like a pretty cool job. We did SIGINT, HUMINT, and counterintelligence. We were called multifunctional teams. And then they sent me like right back to Iraq, and it was the last place I wanted to be.
Yeah.
But they sent my team to, they call it the Osirak. It was actually where Saddam Hussein was trying to create nuclear weapons in the 80s.
Whoa,
and
okay.
the Israelis ended up bombing it. I don't remember what year it was, but the Israelis ended up bombing it. So there's
Interesting how history rhymes, doesn't it?
Yeah. So there's it was called Operation Yellow Cake. We actually went in there and took out all their nuclear material, their dust, their nuclear dust. Mm-hmm. After the ground offensive in 2003. So that's where I was stationed. And I was like, if I'm going to be back in this shithole, I want to do something that like makes me feel like I'm accomplishing something. Because the whole time I've been in Iraq, I just watched all these people talk about how much progress we were making on the ground. It was like, we're not doing shit.
Yeah.
Like, they're just stealing all of our money, and until we leave, they're not going to actually stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
So I ended up, there was this litter of dogs, and we were feeding these dogs, and they're just fucking adorable, man. And I was like, I'm going to send one of those dogs home. Mm-hmm. And we called her Diala. They took her out to a little area that actually still had a bunch of contamination. So you could go out there with a Geiger counter, and it would be like, hey, you shouldn't be here, or else your sperm is going to start swimming backwards. So I went over to the Ugandan guard, and I was like, go get me this dog. And I had a picture of her, and she's got like this little brown spot right in the front. And I was like, go get her. I'm sending her home.
Yeah.
So I paid to have that dog sent home to the United States, and she was the worst fucking dog ever. She was the worst, dude. Like,
I had follow-up questions, but now they're being answered.
Dude, you fart, this dog barks. Like, dude, everything in them innately is like to be scared of stuff and attack and be like just absolute scavengers, dude.
Yeah.
Worst dog on the planet.
Well, do you think the dog was related? Because, I mean, granted, this dog grew up in Iraq, so it's like it probably has PTSD. Like, I'm trying to think, is this like the dog version of just like the contractors? Like,
no, dude, she was tiny. She was like 7 weeks old, 7 weeks old when I sent her home. She wasn't like in the shit, bro. Mm-hmm. Like, she was just innately, like, nature over nurture. Dude, like, the nature of those dogs is just to be wild animals.
When they're not domesticated or tamed. Yeah.
Yeah, and believe me, we tried to domesticate and tame her, and dude, it just like never happened.
Oh, okay.
The last time I saw her, she lived to be 13 years old. The last time I saw her, we were on a boat at a lake, and we had these sardines that we were fishing with, and we left them on like the little boat, and she went in there and, dude, just chowed down this entire bag of sardines. Bag and all, dude, plastic. And she was like 13 at the time. She couldn't hear, she couldn't hardly see, but she could find some sardines.
Yeah.
And then I had to drive with her on the way home with her like sardine breath in the back of my car, the SUV, just blasting sardine breath at me and my family for like 7 hours getting back from the lake. So, I mean, she was an absolute terror.
Yeah.
But it still made me feel better, like being able to send a dog home, give that dog a good life, knowing full well that like nothing in Iraq was working out the way that we thought it was going to. And I didn't, honestly, by the time you have a few people that you know die over in Iraq or Afghanistan, you look at the people and say, why do I care about your country more than you do?
Yeah.
Fuck this place. I may as well save a dog.
No, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, think about all the stuff that you saved that dog from. That dog probably fought in Fallujah, Al-Nursa, was probably planning roadside. But like this dog probably watched its other dogs die because of an SB vid came through like the dog park or something. And look what you know, not to make a serious situation light, but.
No, dude, I mean, like, it was awesome. Like, every time I would see her, she was scared to death of me, so she'd piss on the floor. And then after a few minutes, she'd be like, oh, yeah, wait, that guy is kind of nice. And you get to love on her. But, dude, you get her around food, water. Like, she would be around my other dogs. She'd be like, I'm going to fight.
Yeah.
Like, my whole thing is like, dude, I got to have food. Like, she was just terrible, but still worth every penny, man.
Yeah, why'd you hold on to her for that long? I mean, if she was nothing but problems.
What are you going to do? You're going to be like, hey, who wants to adopt this dog from Iraq that won't stop barking? And, well, dude, she like, 'cause my mom and her husband actually had her for like the last 7 or 8 years. And some guy came over and she didn't like the guy. She was like, I'm not into you. So he was on top of his car calling and being like, can you come get your dog before she attacks me? Like, she was savage. But, dude, once you got into her inner circle, she was great with kids. You get into her inner circle, she was like sweet as pie. But, dude, it's a lot like the canines that you see with like cops, like the Malinois.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They're just savages. But if you're in their inner circle, they're like the sweetest, nicest things ever.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'm kind of blanking on it right now. But with all that said, I mean, you know, you said you missed the clowns, but not the circus. What after you left the Army intelligence world, what have you been up to now? I mean, obviously authoring has been one of them, but what is the life been of Morgan Lerette to fill in that adventure since then?
Authoring?
Is authoring even a word? I've been throwing that around all day. I don't even know if it's. I'm supposed to be like verbally literate here. I'm the host. I don't know what I'm doing.
No, I mean, dude, I finally like. I will give it to this. Like you were enlisted, I was enlisted. The enlisted corps has this thing where they're like, well, it sucked for me, so make it suck for you.
Yes.
And I hated that. So when I went into the Army, I was like, I'm going to try to make a difference. So I'm like this butter bar lieutenant. People don't know I worked for Blackwater. I go up to the sergeant major, and I was like, hey, man, my guys are falling asleep at work. Like, they're exhausted. Why are they on fire watch? And he's like, they didn't clean the toilet. And I was like, I'll go clean the toilets, dude. Can you let these guys sleep? And he's like, nope, they're going to be on fire watch for the next. And I was like, oh, I can't even make a difference in the military now, even as an officer. And I made it to captain. And, dude, like, at that point, I was like, it doesn't matter how high up the ranks you go. There's going to be somebody else that's making a stupid decision.
Yeah.
That you can't talk them out of. So I ended up getting out, and I went to a very snooty little graduate school up in Boston. I was going to go work for the CIA. And then that was like my first city life in Boston. And look, dude, Boston's a cool city. Great to visit. Horrible to live there. And to go work for the CIA, it was going to be hanging out in either DC or being deployed. And I finally just looked at myself and was like, dude, you've already done all your cool stuff. It's time to like sit down. I was dating my amazing now wife, and I was like, it's time. We got married, and I was like, dude, it's time to be a grown up. Go do that big boy grown up life.
Yeah.
So, now I live in corporate America. I do. I make enough off of these book sales to retire comfortably. Never. So I got to have my day job. But
which you can buy at Amazon, by the way. We will plug in later.
Yeah. So No, dude, I got two kids. As we were coming into the studio, I had to get in the back and I go play golf with my kids. So that's why I had pink golf clubs. I don't golf with pink clubs. I prefer purple. You know this. Dude, it's pretty freaking awesome. And like, you'll meet my dad in the book, and he was a scumbag. And I think about it, and I'm like, dude, like all these things that I get to experience with my kids, that my dad just like wouldn't even sign up for.
Yeah.
Like he was just such a scumbag, and he was like, he was drunk, and he was never around, and when he was around, it was terrible. But like being able to watch your kids grow up and turn into like decent humans, dude. Yesterday we were trimming the trees out in front. I was doing it with my son because I'm trying to teach him how to be like, a dude.
Yeah.
And he's trimming this tree. Every tree in my yard will kill you. It just has that many spikes on it. And he went to trim this tree, and it cut him. Like, it scraped him down the face, and I was like, you're all right. It's not that big of a deal. He's got, like, this little scrape. Yeah. And then later on, he's got, like, all the scrapes actually show up. And I was like, dude, you look like Scar from The Lion King, bro. Like, you took it like a man. Like, yeah. I'm so proud of you. Let's get some ice cream. So it's a pretty rad life. I got an amazing wife. My kids are awesome. And now it's just kind of like living.
Yeah. One thing I don't think I've heard a lot of, because now I'm getting some more older, more established guests who have like left the life. They have family. They're more settled down, I'd say. But you have a son. So if he decided that he wanted to go the route that you did, and he's like, I want to go military, maybe he gets interested in the PMC life. Like, do you like? What's your thoughts on that? Just as a father, are you like worried, but you're like, it's your life? Do you want to advise him to say, like, where on that spectrum do you follow with that?
All right, I'm gonna start this in a totally different direction, but I swear I'll bring it back. So, my buddy that I was in the Army with, his dad was like a VP, and he went to Notre Dame, and then he joined the military, and then he went to Columbia University, and then he went to UCLA. And his dad was there to literally sit there and say, this is a career path that you can take. Like, you don't have to, but this is a career path you can take. Let me give you the good and the bad of what you're going to do.
Yeah.
With my kids, if they decide that they want to join the military, that's the plan. Is, look, you can do that. If you don't want to do that, there's other things to do it. But if you're going to do that, this is how I would suggest that you do that. Mm-hmm. So if he wants to go in, the first thing I'm going to tell him is go in the Coast Guard. Those guys are always on the beach.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. That's where you start.
I will say that the Coast Guard, like, they don't get any credit because, like, they do so much stuff.
Yeah.
They get all this, like, action and cool stuff. Like, they're fighting cartels or patrolling, like, the inner beaches and they do so much. Nobody talks about them at all.
Yeah. So dude, I'd tell them that. Like, if my daughter wants to do something, go be an air traffic controller, go fly this, or like go do something where you're actually going to be able to use that. And if he says, look, Dad, I want to go in the ROTC and I want to be an infantry officer, then yeah, dude, go for it. But I'm also going to help you and say, if you're going to go that route,
yeah, this
is what you want to do. Like, if you're going to have your school paid for through an ROTC, or go to West Point, or like go to Harvard if they're paying for it. Don't go to frickin' Coconino Community College. No offense, I am a proud alumni, but like there's ways that you can set yourself up for the future by doing the same thing I did. I wish somebody had been around and said, "Hey Morgan, that's stupid." I didn't start taking advice until I was, 23, 24, 27. Like, let's be honest here. So if I could get them to miss some of the bumps in the road that I took, yeah, that would be awesome.
So when you look back on your own career, your own life, was there anything that you would change or do differently, or that would probably have, I don't know, well, maybe what would be a good way of putting it? Like, maybe there were dumb mistakes you made or like opportunities you missed. Like, is there just anything you would change about your experience that, like, I probably should have did this or not did that?
I mean, look, I could go back and Monday quarterback this whole thing. But at the end of the day, I made the decisions that I did. And I would like to sit there and say, oh, I made the best decision that I thought at the time. I didn't. I was stupid. Mm-hmm. Right? Like my first 6 months in Baghdad with Blackwater, maybe I shouldn't have came home and blown all my money. But who gives a fuck? Mm-hmm. Like it's great. I had a Land Rover. I don't have a Land Rover anymore. But like at the end of the day, it didn't change the trajectory that I finally found my way on. If I was going to change stuff, it would be those little stupid things to be able to get to where I was. But honestly, if I hadn't joined the Army as an officer, I wouldn't be where I am. If I hadn't joined Blackwater, I wouldn't be where I am. Like all those things, those decisions where I could look back and go, ooh, I use those later on in life to be like, okay, now I want to take that next logical step to become a successful human.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's always weird because whenever I ask that question, I always hear a very similar answer where it's like, yeah, I did screw up here, or I did maybe do the right thing here, but I would never take it back because, it's seared in my brain, whatever lessons I've learned now. I don't know why. I never hear people say, well, you know what, I wish I did change, unless it's like a royally fucked up situation. But I guess it just shows the value that people learn, or people appreciate the wisdom of their past experiences.
Yeah, I mean, look, so I had this buddy in college. It actually isn't me, but he went to go get an STD test. And they said, look, you can pay $100 and you can pee in this cup and we'll check you. Or we can give you the old bore punch with the Q-tip down the pee hole. And he was like, I'd rather use that $100 on beer. So he took the bore punch, dude, right down the pee hole.
Really?
So decisions like that, yeah, there's going to be some regret on those. Like give the money that you need to. But I mean, for the most part, I
am a penny pincher, but like,
yeah,
quality over quantity. People,
Yeah.
like, what do we do? The board, ugh,
yeah.
God.
I mean, honestly, like, spend on stuff that's going to make your life easier. Save on stuff that isn't.
Yes.
Right. Like, of course, buying this book is going to make your life a lot easier. You're going to laugh your ass off.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, like, I wish I hadn't have bought that Land Rover. I wish I hadn't have spent like every penny. I wish I hadn't have bought that house in Flagstaff before the housing bust. So there's a number of these decisions that ultimately affected me, but not to the point that it derailed me. So if you're making a decision, look at this and say, in the next 10 years, am I going to look back and be like, ooh, financially that hurt me, or emotionally, or like you name it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like you said, I guess it's always easy to look back, because history is always 20/20, but, gotta let it, experience is the best teacher, as they say. Last thing I was thinking of was, so you went to Tufts of all, like, which is a very under the radar, but still very elite school. Don't feel like pompous about it. Like, you've earned that, but going from the route that you did, I mean, how did you fit in at all? Like,
No.
just being in Tufts?
No, I didn't. Dude, and these were good dudes that were at Tufts University. They just grew up in that upper middle class or upper class thing. So like when they grew up, dude, they were all extremely liberal. And I'd ask them, I'd be like, dude, are you a liberal or a conservative? And they'd be like, I'm down the middle. And I was like, you don't know where the middle is, bro.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at the middle and you are way left of me.
Because people make jokes about it with veterans will say like, yeah, it's hard for us to fit into school, but it's like, we're just regular late stage like we don't have any, like, you actually are a salt dog, like you actually have been in the shit, have done the wackiest of things. It's like I can't imagine how it was just for you. I mean, probably wasn't as bad as advertised as like the way stories go, but it's just I imagine you sticking out like a sore thumb just being around all these 18, 19-year-old kids that are on paper very successful, but then when they you just have redneck been served in Iraq, mercenary Morgan Lerette.
Well, first off, I didn't tell anybody that I worked for Blackwater.
Oh, really? Okay.
They did know I was in the military.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I did a lot of just like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like this is when veterans go to college and they're like, oh, I heard this kid and this liberal and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't affect you, who cares? Let them say whatever they think. Let them think whatever they think. Who cares? But I did run the Boston Marathon with the Tufts Marathon team in 2013 during the bombing.
Really?
Yeah. So I finished the marathon like 5 minutes before the bombs went off.
Wow. Okay.
And I was sitting there with my buddy, his name's Scott, and he's like, I think that was a bomb. And I was like, nah, it wasn't a bomb. And then I heard a second pop, and I was like, okay, well, that one's kind of weird. And then he's like, is it a bomb? And I was like, dude, I've been around bombs. Like, those weren't bombs. Plus, if they were bombs, everybody'd be like running towards us, and like they'd be on their cell phones, and then everybody's freaking out. 30 seconds later, dude, everybody's running towards us. They're on their cell phones. I looked over at Scott, was like, dude, there's a bomb. Get the fuck out. And he's like, I'm going to hang around and have a beer with my friends. And I was like,
what?
I was like, I'm not. So I was with my wife. We jumped on the train. We got literally the last train out before they stopped all traffic, did the cordon and search, all that stuff.
How far away were you from the bombs when they went off?
Oh, I was extremely close. I was like right by the finish line, and they were right by the finish line.
Jesus.
Yeah. So we got out of there. He ended up getting stuck there forever. But like these kids that ran it, like they took it all very personal. They were like, that guy was trying to blow me up, and me. And I like finally I got a few of them together and was like, dude, you can't take this shit personal, man. Like, I've been overseas. I've been just about everywhere. If I took every rocket, every mortar, every IED personal, like, I would not be able to function as a human. Yeah. You have to look at that like it's for the cameras, and it's for the target of opportunity. You just happen to be on it. So like maybe I help some of those guys. Look, dude, it absolutely opened up my worldview of like diplomacy and all these other things that you're seeing happen, you know, with Secretary Rubio. But it was a great experience to just get me out of my comfort zone. And if you're not doing something to get yourself out of your comfort zone, you're not growing, man.
Yeah, correct. I mean, they say that comfort is the silent killer or something like that. Like,
that's chlamydia.
Chlamydia, yes. Yeah. But that is interesting, though, being like putting it in perspective. As weird as it sounds, like war, you know, whether you think war is a racket or not. Great book by Smedley Butler. You know, it is just business. I mean, like, it's not. Whether it's, you know, like you're competing in sports, whether you're in a amateur fight or not, it's like, you know, they don't know you. They don't really care who you are. You're just another pawn in their end game.
Yeah, and dude, I mean, I think a lot of veterans that were the early GWOC guys that were in those crazy situations, a lot of them did take it personal. That's just never been my thing, man. I was talking to one veteran that's like, I parked my Humvee over a grenade. And I was like, dude, did it blow up? And I was like, no. Didn't blow up, but like it freaked me out, and I was like, stop being a pussy. I walked by a bullet the other day. It didn't go off and kill me either. Like, yeah. But dude, a lot of those, like, what I didn't realize at the time, so I was kind of a dick about it, was like a lot of these people do take it personal, and you can't. Like, and that's just in life in general, man. I think the less you take stuff personal, the more you realize that nobody's thinking about you, and like you're thinking about yourself way more than anybody else is thinking about you.
Oh, absolutely.
Life gets so much more enjoyable.
Yeah, I learned that pretty late after like I got out of the military. I mean, I'm glad that I learned it because it makes life so much, you know. And I'm not saying like, you know, have your head in the sand, be carefree, but it is true though. It's like you're not like everybody is in their own head way more than they're thinking about you. Like you're not the center of the universe like you think you are. And like when it comes to like the grenade being under the truck or like the guy taking the bombing seriously, it's like. Truth be told, if somebody else was there, that stuff still would have happened. Somebody else would have been the victim. We're not as special as we think we are. No,
you might think that you're the main character in the movie, but Robert Downey Jr. is. Sorry, guys.
Great actor. I still haven't seen what is it, Tropic Thunder?
Oh, you got to watch that one. That one's spectacular.
I try to be a cultured man and like very literate and things like that, but I am so behind on my movie homework. I haven't seen Generation Kill. I haven't even seen that yet. And I'm a Marine. I need to see it. You
got to check that one out. That's the closest thing to actual real combat because it's not about combat. Like this, trying to explain it to people, 99% of combat is boredom and you fucking around with your friends. It punctuated with like pure adrenaline, and it's the greatest feeling you'll ever have. It's that high that we were talking about. Yeah. And then you got to go back to like, hey, now I'm just fucking around with my friends. Like, dude, if you don't die, it's fair game, man. Yeah. Like that's the beauty of it. You could sit there and if you die, dude, you're off the table. But if you don't die, like people are gonna fuck with you constantly in combat, and dude, it's the funniest thing ever.
Yes, yeah, it's just like that weird guy culture of us just busting each other's balls and just having, you know, as weird as it sounds, you know, we say we miss the clowns, not the circus, but it's like the circus that we bring on each other that makes it fun. Well, we are at the final minutes of it, but what I normally do is so whatever you want to plug, whatever you want to promote, where people can follow you, leave that out there. Obviously, we have the book. Please buy it. Where can people follow you? If there's anything else you want to promote, leave that. And then anybody who's still in the service, even in the contracting world, what advice do you have to leave them?
Yeah, so track me down on Instagram, TikTok, X. I'm mostly on Instagram now, but I'm at BlackwaterDude1. Which is funny because some Blackwater guys were like, oh, he calls himself the Blackwater Dude. And I was like, it's hilarious. Where they're like, who is that guy? Well, he's the Blackwater Dude. Yeah. So I'm at Blackwater Dude, the number 1.
If you're more famous than Morgan, why don't you claim it then?
Yeah. So you can track me down. That's where I post most of my stuff. And it's everything from like current PMC stuff to, you know, the heyday of when I was in. My advice for the military people out there in contracting is use it as much as it uses you. There's a reason why they call it the service. right? Because you're going in there and it doesn't fucking matter. Like, they are going to use you. You are at their service.
Yes.
But use them too, man. Like this is why I tell everybody, join the Air Force. It's the closest thing to being in a civilian job you'll ever have.
Yeah.
Because planes always fly. Mortars don't always fly. Tanks don't always drive. Planes always fly. And that's what the Air Force does. It supports planes flying.
Yes.
So if you're doing that, my big regret with like Blackwater in the military, I should have learned a language. I should have like taken college classes. I should like on your downtime, take that time to better yourself. It doesn't mean you can't mess around with your buddies. It just means take a little bit of extra time. We had one guy at Blackwater that was learning Farsi. And I was like, dork. And then he went to Harvard. And I was like, man, I wish I would have taken the time like he did.
Yeah.
Use the service the way the service is using you.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. Take advantage of everything. Don't be, I'm not going to butcher it. My brain's off. Very good words to end it off on. My first real contracting guest. I mean, we're making milestones as we go, but Mr. Lerette, I can't thank you enough for being on. It's been honestly one of the more decent episodes I've done recently. So with that, everybody, go follow Morgan Lerette. Buy his book, please. Go on Amazon. There's a QR code right there. With that, like, subscribe, share the episode, comment on it, do whatever you can to boost the algorithm. And with that, take care, everybody. We're out of here.